And if Lazarus made himself younger, what if I reverse it? Another 100 years? Teleport. We can't stop him. Get out of here.
Hey, howdy, hey, Whovians, Wolfman 47 here back for another Doctor Who vlog. I'm sure you're getting sick of them by now because I've done so many, but I promise you there's only going to be a few more to go after this one, so yeah. Okay, so for this one we're going to do a character study, and I think I've picked a good character study from Doctor Who to study. So you know I've talked about some of the monsters / aliens, the Time Lord himself, the Doctor, and in the last topical vlog I talked about the Doctor's companions, or 14 of them at least. And today we're going to talk about what I consider to be his arch nemesis, the Master. So the Master, like the Doctor, the Master is a Time Lord from Gallifrey. Went through a lot of harsh treatments compared to the Doctor, I believe, if I recall. I probably got some information wrong there, but anyway. Yeah, he went through the same process as Doctor and all that. Had the Master I grew up with, which the Master I saw, or is more related to, is John Sims' Master, Missy, who I believe was played by Michelle Gomez, I'll check in the edit, and the guy that appeared in Jodie Whittaker's, with a name I can't really pronounce, so I'll put that in the edit as well. From what I've seen of the Master, I've also seen some of the classic series Master as well, but from the ones that I've watched more of, which were the revival incarnations of the Master, and I'll go by the he/him pronouns, because the Master is a he/him, has been a he/him mostly, apart from when he was Missy. Yeah, he's I consider him to be the arch enemy of the Doctor for a lot of reasons. The first reason is because, as I said, he's a Time Lord, so he knows the Time Lord biology inside and out. The second reason, he likes to cause chaos and destruction in his wake wherever he goes. And 3, he basically just wants to draw the Doctor out and cause him pain, misery, suffering, and all sorts, when things that the Doctor tries to prevent, he can't prevent as a result of the Master's doing. And he just likes tormenting his companions as well. Takes great joy in that. Sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it, to you DC comic fans? Because that's exactly the sort of relationship that Batman and the Joker have. It's a relationship where Joker feels he can't live without the Batman. The Batman completes him, and I think I'd like to say it's the same as the Master and the Doctor, but the difference there is that the Master and the Doctor actually do have much more things in common than Batman and Joker. Because Joker and Batman, they may be human, both of them, but while one is a crazed maniac that went into a pool of acid, the other is very much human, that had to go through some big trauma when he was little. Kind of similar in a way to the Master and the Doctor. But in all of the appearances and times I've seen the Master, I can definitely say he is definitely one of those villains that many Whovians like myself will say is one of the greatest of the Doctor's enemies, up there with the Cybermen, up there with the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Sontarans, the Weeping Angels, and others that are to do with them, and others that are related to them as well. Yeah, he is an interesting character, and I think it was the right move for the writers to make sure that the character kind of has some of the opposite characteristics and age and all that, to complement the Doctor. Like, for example, during David Tennant's era as the Doctor, when he was the 10th Doctor, not the 14th Doctor, the Master was played by John Sim, who at the time would have been of a similar age to David Tennant, so sort of mid 30s, coming up to his 40s, and that was the right call there. And I think he played a really good Master, very crazy, evil, power driven, and all this other stuff. He was great. Matt Smith and Christopher Eccleston never really had a Master associated to them, to my knowledge, or not one on screen anyway. And then Missy came along for Peter Capaldi, and obviously Peter Capaldi is quite a mature actor who's one of the oldest actors to play the Doctor, but so obviously Missy had to be of a similar age, and so they got what they got for her. And what I really like about Missy is that, unlike the other Masters, she actually does have some heroic qualities, and although she does like to cause pain and suffering to the Doctor, she's not really all that interested in causing pain and suffering to many of his companions, or rather, she does try and cause suffering to Clara Oswald. I can't remember if she does anything to Bill Potts or Nardole, apart from just them being, oh really, why are you bringing her along? But yeah, she has some heroic qualities about her, and even towards the end of her incarnation, she even sort of demonstrates she had those heroic qualities. Lots of you are probably wondering what happened between her and the Master that appears in Jodie Whittaker's era. And from what the wiki says, it's a case of she was able to delay her regeneration. Her regeneration was put into a sort of conscious server thing, which then transferred into a human body, which ended up being the Master in Jodie Whittaker's era. I believe that's not the first time the Master's done that. I think he or she has done that in the classic series as well. But I don't know too much about what happened in the classic series, because from what I've heard about the classic series, it wasn't really written by sci-fi writers like The Revival was. It was written by other writers, and the BBC had issues with it. But we'll talk more about that in my next topical vlog. But anyway, so I think overall, I think the Master is a great villain. He definitely complements the Doctor. He or she definitely complements the Doctor a great deal, not just because they are both Time Lords, but because she likes to cause pain and suffering to everybody in his or her wake. Unlike the Doctor, who just travels through time space and does anything she can to ensure that the time stream is still intact and time has not been rewritten or anything. He or she just tries to keep it intact and all that, with some interference by him and his companions. Excuse me. Yeah. Interesting that the Master takes, unlike the Doctor, takes multiple aliases. So when it was John Sim's Master, he took the human name Harold Saxon, and we all know what happened with him. He became Prime Minister, and because he knew that Martha Jones was travelling with the Doctor, he put Martha's family, specifically her sister and her parents, not so much her brother, but definitely her parents and her sister, causes them a lot of pain and suffering. And during that 1 year period between the second and third part of the 3-part finale of series 3, he does make them into his slaves, so to speak, alongside Captain Jack and a very old and mature Doctor who he tried to regenerate as a result of making him get very old. But yeah, enough about that. And then John Sim's Master decides he wants to pretend he's dead, but he then comes back in the final adventure for David Tennant's Doctor, which was The End of Time, trying to turn all humans into him, but ultimately this results in Gallifrey coming back into being, but not quite, but in an attempt to destroy the Earth, thanks to Razian, played wonderfully by Timothy Dalton, who once played James Bond. And then after that, we don't really hear much about the Master until Missy appears, and Missy tries to make this sort of heaven earth thing using Cybermen. So she forms an alliance with the Cybermen for a brief moment, and the Cybermen and Missy do kind of play about with one another throughout Peter Capaldi's era, but she does try and form an alliance with the Daleks as well, but to no avail. And then at the end, she comes across John Simm's Master again, because John Simm's Master was trapped along with the other Time Lords in Gallifrey, thanks to some interference, thanks to basically just having that one time where he decides to help the Doctor, because Gallifrey were the ones responsible, because the people on Gallifrey were the ones responsible for the 4 knocks that he keeps hearing in his head. So that's that. Of course, he refuses to believe that the Doctor and him can ever be like friends or allies, and so he sort of causes Missy to at first regenerate, but then die, because as everyone knows, to kill a Time Lord, you need to first of all kill the Time Lord, shoot or kill the Time Lord once, and then do it again as they're regenerating to kill them permanently. But as we know, Missy found a way to regenerate into the Master you see in the Jodie Whittaker era. And the Master in Jodie Whittaker era is kind of the Master back on form, being a madman who wants to cause chaos and destruction in his wake. And he ultimately does a very big thing, which is wipe out the majority of the Time Lords, because he found out some home truths about the Time Lords, ultimately to the point where the Doctor actually unknown to anyone, played a big part in the creation of the Time Lords, and he tries to become her, but yeah, it doesn't happen. So I think I've covered everything about the Master. He is a madman or madwoman, and whether the Master is still alive or not, the chances of him or her dying are unlikely. In fact, the chances of any of the Doctor's enemies dying are unlikely, because fans just love seeing all of his and her reoccurring enemies appear. But there will be a time where they will eventually decide to stop doing Doctor Who and end it all. And that'll be when the Doctor finally reveals his or her name to the world. So that's that. So that is all I wanted to say on the Master. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment below and subscribe. I especially love to hear what you think about the Master, whether you agree or disagree with my opinions about the Master, and whether you've got some other things to share about the Master and everything she does. So yeah. So see you in the next one. Peace to you all, and whatever you do not trust a person that gives away mad, crazy, insane, psycho vibes. Because you've seen what happened with the Joker, you've seen what's happened with the Master, so yeah, just don't do it. Unless you really know what you're doing there. Alright. Alonzi.